Hello everyone, starting with today's lecture. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the topic that is aphorism number 35 to 42. These are related to the law of dissimilars. And aphorism number 43 to 52, these are related to the law of similars. So, aphorism number 35 to aphorism number 42, these are related as what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. So, in this, we are going to discuss that is what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. So, mainly there are when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, either they repel or suspend or forms the complex disease in the body. But when two similar diseases meet together in body, they can form the cure. So when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, they never cure one another, or out of which one disease also not cured by these dissimilar diseases. So these are the two dissimilar diseases which are different in their forms. So we call it as a dissimilar diseases. And when these dissimilar diseases meet together in body, there are three possibilities. Which are they? In this, the first possibility is that is when these two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, either they repel one another. Secondly, they suspend one another, or thirdly, they form the complex disease. So, when they repel one another, that is the first condition, that is the repulsion. So, in this first condition, that is when in this we consider that is the old disease and new disease. That is, old disease is present in body and new disease affects the body. So this is first condition, that is if the old disease is stronger than the new weaker disease. So in that condition, this old stronger disease repels the new weaker disease. So this is the first possibility. Then the second possibility is that the old disease is weaker and the new disease is stronger. So in that condition, the old disease which is weaker, it is suspended by the new stronger disease. So this is the second possibility. And the third possibility is that when the two diseases are of same character or same strength, in that condition they form the complex disease, that they are of same strength. In that condition they form the complex disease in the body. So this is the third condition. So these are the three conditions when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. First one you have to remember, that is they repel one another. Secondly, they will suspend one another, and the third may form the complex disease. So in this aphorism, that is aphorism number 35 to 42, these are related to the, that is law of dissimilars. So in this, first we will see the summary of these aphorisms, that is what is given in each aphorism. So in each aphorism, that is in aphorism number 35, they will explain about, that is what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together. So this is given in aphorism number 35. Then in aphorism number 36, it is related to existing stronger repels the weaker. That is, if the existing stronger is present, that repels the weaker disease. This is given in aphorism number 36. Then in aphorism number 37, they explain about that is allopathy, chronic diseases remains uncured. So in this they give the routine of that allopathic treatment that causes the chronic diseases remains uncured, that is explained in aphorism number 37. Then aphorism number 38, it is related to new stronger suspends the weaker one. That is, if the new stronger disease is there, it suspends the old weaker disease. This is explained in aphorism number 38. Then Aphorism number 39, it is regarding the routine examples of this. That is the examples of dissimilar diseases. Then aphorism number 40, it explains about the complex diseases. What is the complex diseases? And aphorism number 41, it is related that is natural disease plus artificial disease. If of same strength, they form the complex disease. This is explaining aphorism number 41. And lastly, the 42, it is related to the dissimilar diseases complicate one another. They never cure one another, but the dissimilar diseases complicate one another. So this is the summary of aphorism number 35 to 42, which are related to what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. And the main theme of these aphorisms are that as there are three possibilities, and you have to remember these three possibilities as: first possibility, the old disease and a new disease. If the old disease is stronger and the new disease is weaker, so in that case, that old stronger disease repels the new weaker disease. This is first possibility. Then the second possibility, old disease and new disease. So in that condition, the old disease is weak and the new disease is strong. So in second possibility is that the strong new disease suspend the old weak disease. This is the second possibility. And the third possibility is that is both the old disease and the new disease are of same character, their strength are equal. So in that condition, they form the complex disease, means they both settle in the body of a patient and they form the complex disease. This is the first third possibility of two dissimilar diseases. So you have to remember these three possibilities and you have to explain these three possibilities with their examples, and this is also given in the aphorisms as the explanation with their examples. So we starting with aphorism number 35. So what is given in aphorism number 35? First we will see, that is, in order to illustrate this, we shall consider in three different cases as well what happens in nature when two dissimilar natural diseases meet together in one person. That is, this is the condition when two dissimilar natural diseases meet together in one person, as also the result of the ordinary medical treatment of diseases with unsuitable allopathic drugs which are incapable of producing an artificial morbid condition similar to the disease to be cured, whereby it will appear that even nature herself is unable to remove a dissimilar disease already present by one that is unhomeopathic, even though it be stronger. And just as little is the unhomeopathic employment of even the strongest medicines ever capable of curing any disease whatsoever. So what is given in aphorism number 35? It is regarding as, that is, there are three different cases when two natural dissimilar diseases meet together in body. So this dissimilar nature of disease, you may consider it is of natural disease also, or it is of a artificial disease also. As the natural disease means the two natural dissimilar diseases meet together in body, or it can be considered with the treatment we are giving to the patient. That is, if we are giving the allopathic treatment, in that condition we also produce the artificial disease in a patient, but this is of dissimilar character. So when it is of artificial or it is of a natural disease, when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, they never cure one another. In that condition, they may repel one another, they may suspend one another, or they may form the complex disease with one another. So in this aphorism they explain as two dissimilar natural diseases meet together in one person as also the result of ordinary medical treatment of disease with unsuitable allopathic drugs, and this can be same as a unsuitable allopathic drugs which are incapable of producing an artificial morbid condition similar to the disease to be cured. So it is the same condition as artificial morbid condition similar to the disease to be cured. It is incapable of producing the similar condition. So they form the dissimilar condition, and in that condition cure is impossible, whereby it will appear that even nature herself is unable to remove a dissimilar remedy already present. That is, even nature also cannot cure the dissimilar diseases when meet together in body. So how the artificial disease that are produced by giving the unsuitable allopathic drugs, how they will cure one another. So this is explaining about this, that is what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together. So while explaining this aphorism, as per aphorism number 34, Dr. Hahnemann has explained even nature herself cannot cure a prior existing disease by the accession of a new dissimilar stronger disease, be it ever so strong. That is, even the new disease which is stronger than the old disease which is naturally present in body cannot be cured. It is also explained in aphorism number 34. And with that regard, that is when it is of dissimilar character, even though the new stronger disease, the new disease is so strong that even though it cannot cure that old weak disease, as they having a dissimilar character. So to form the cure in a patient, the disease must be of similar character, which is present in a homeopathy. So in that, in order to explain this fact, in the following three conditions, Dr. Hahnemann is explaining about what happens in nature when two dissimilar diseases meet together in one living being. So in this aphorism, that is aphorism number 35, Dr. Hahnemann is explaining about, that is what happens in nature when two dissimilar diseases meet together in living being. Along with this, they also explain about, that is, as in allopathic treatment, drug and disease symptoms, they are not similar. That is, what we use in allopathic treatment, that is drug and disease, they are also not similar and they are of dissimilar character. So in this, even though what so called homeopathic medicines can't cure natural disease, how much strong they may be if they are not similar in manifestation to the natural disease. So even though what so called homeopathic medicine can't cure a natural disease, how much strong they may be if they are not similar in manifestation to the natural disease. Even though if we select a dissimilar medicine in homeopathy also, and it is of strong character also, that strong character new disease cannot cure the old disease if they are of dissimilar character. So if you want the cure, the disease must be of similar character. So this is explaining in aphorism number 35. So all of you understand about the aphorism number 35? Okay. Okay, so we are shifting towards the next aphorism, that is aphorism number 36. So first I will read the aphorism. If the two dissimilar diseases meeting together in the human being be of equal strength, or still more, if the older one be the stronger, the new disease will be repelled by the old one from the body and not allowed to affect it. In this, a person suffering from a severe chronic disease will not be infected by moderate atomal dysentery or other epidemic disease. The plague of the Levant, according to Larry, does not break out where scurvy is prevalent, and persons suffering from eczema are not infected by it. Then, Ricketts Jenner allergies prevents vaccination from taking effect. Those suffering from pulmonary consumption are not liable to be attacked by epidemic fevers of not very violent character, according to own Hildenbrand. So, in this aphorism, aphorism number 36, it is related to the first condition or the first possibility of dissimilar diseases. That is, when two dissimilar diseases meeting together in human being of equal strength, or still more if the older one be the stronger. So in that case, if the old disease is stronger, that is existing old disease is stronger, that repels the weaker attacking disease or weaker new disease. You may use the word that is existing means the stronger, and the new attacking disease, that is the new disease. So in that condition, that is when two dissimilar diseases meet together in one living being, if the old is stronger than the attacking new disease, then the new disease gets repelled by old stronger disease. So this is the first possibility, that is if the old disease is strong and the new disease is weak, that old strong disease repels the new weaker disease. This is first possibility. And in this they give the examples, that is a patient suffering from a severe chronic disease will not be infected by moderate atomal dysentery or other epidemic diseases. That is, if the patient is already suffering from a severe chronic disease, he has having some severe chronic disease. In that condition, if he is infected with any epidemic disease or the moderate atomal dysentery, that condition cannot affect that person, as the old chronic disease is so strong, the weak newer disease, that is any epidemic disease, cannot affect that old chronic strong disease. So this is the first example. Then the second is the plague of the Levant, according to Larry, does not break out where the scurvy is prevalent. That is, if the patient having a severe scurvy is present, in that condition, that patient cannot be affected with the epidemic of a plague. Then the third example is person is suffering from eczema are and not attacked by the plague. That is, person having already presence of a eczema, that person cannot be affected by new plague disease. Then when the patient is suffering from scurvy, prevents vaccination from taking its effects, that is Ricketts and Jenner allergens. So if the person is suffering from scurvy and in between he gets some vaccination, that vaccination that prevents the vaccination from taking its effects. So the person having already a stronger disease, that cannot gets affected with a new weaker disease. Then those suffering from pulmonary consumption are not liable to be attacked by epidemic fevers of a not very violent character. That is, pulmonary consumption means it is a pulmonary TB. So if person is suffering from some pulmonary TB, that person cannot get affected by the epidemic fevers if they are not of violent character, and it is told by the own Hildenbrand. So this is the aphorism 36 regarding the first possibility of two dissimilar diseases with their examples. So it is a simple aphorism, that is if the existing stronger disease repels the weaker attacking disease, and in this they explain the some examples of it, that is if the old disease is strong than the new disease, the old strong disease repels the new weak disease. So this is aphorism number 36. So one note of Kent regarding the aphorism number 36, that is in his lecture 15, Kent also gives various examples. That is, protection from epidemics occurs in persons who have vigorous, strong immunity, and also a second group of persons that consumption, diabetes, last stage of bright disease as the repel the epidemic. So, in chapter number 15, Dr. Kent also give one note, that is, the protection from epidemics occurs in a persons who have vigorous strong immunity, and also the second group of person, that is the any person that can be get protection from two conditions, that is, if they having the strong immunity, they also not suffering from the epidemic diseases, and second one, the second group of people that having the strong chronic disease present, already present in their body, they also not get affected with these epidemics. That is, if person is already having some consumptions, means that is the TB, then diabetes, then last stage of bright disease, if these conditions are present as a chronic disease in person, they also not get affected with the epidemic disease, or they repel the epidemic disease. So this note is given by Dr. Kent, that is in chapter number 15 regarding the aphorism number 36. Then the next aphorism is aphorism number 37, and what is explaining in this aphorism, first we will read the aphorism. So also, under ordinary medical treatment, an old chronic disease remains uncured and unaltered if it is treated according to the common allopathic method. That is to say, with medicines that are incapable of producing in healthy individuals a state of similar to the disease, even though the treatment should last for years and is not of too violent character. This is daily witnessed in practice. It is therefore unnecessary to give any illustrative examples. So, in this, they explain about, that is, the allopathy, the chronic disease remains uncured. That is, in allopathic treatment, the chronic diseases remains uncured. This is explaining in aphorism number 37, and what they explain as, the above fact is there when two dissimilar diseases meet together in one living being. That is, when two dissimilar diseases meet together in one living being, similar thing happens after use of allopathic medicines. That is, when we use the allopathic medicine, the same condition happens. That is, while treating the chronic disease, which is daily observed in practice. That's why Dr. Hahnemann has not given any specific example. So here Dr. Hahnemann did not give any specific example, as this is happen in routine life daily. That is, what is happening in routine life means, when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, they cannot cure one another. So in case of chronic diseases also, when we treat these chronic diseases with allopathic medicine, we produce the dissimilar disease in a patient, and when we produce the dissimilar diseases in a patient, then how the cure will be happen. So, regarding this, Dr. Hahnemann cannot explain any example to this aphorism number 37, as this is routinely done in uh, today's era practice. That is, while giving the medicine for chronic diseases. That is, for example, we are taking the case of a diabetes, that is, patient is suffering from a diabetes, and we are giving the anti-diabetic treatment, means we are giving the dissimilar medicine to the that patient for that disease condition, and in that condition the two dissimilar diseases form in a body of a patient. And how the two dissimilar, when two dissimilar conditions form in a patient, how they will cure one another? They never cure one another. So this is the condition, that in allopathy, the chronic diseases remains uncured. So this is the condition, that as we know that in allopathy also, that is, acute diseases have a fixed duration of period and they can be cured by themselves also. But this is not regarding the chronic cases. For the chronic cases, you must need some treatment, but when you use the treatment of dissimilar character, that dissimilar character cannot give the cure for this disease condition. But when you give the treatment on the basis of similar basis or on the similar basis, in that condition the cure may happen in a chronic diseases. But when you use the allopathic treatment for the chronic diseases, these chronic diseases remains uncured as you form the two dissimilar diseases by giving the allopathic treatment to the patient. So this is regarding the aphorism number 37. So up till now all of you understand what is aphorism number 35, 36 and 37, or any difficulty regarding these aphorisms? Yes, it is clear. Okay, so we will move forward. Next aphorism is aphorism number 38, and in this aphorism they explain about the second possibility of two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, and this is second possibility as the new stronger disease suspend the weak old disease. So in this what is given we will see, that is secondly, or the new dissimilar disease stronger in this case the disease under which the patient originally labored, being the weaker, will be kept back and suspended by the accession of the stronger one, until the latter shall have run its course or been cured, and then the old one reappears uncured. So in this they explain the second condition, that is when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body, they suspend the weaker one. That is, in that condition the old disease is now weak and the new disease is strong. So when old disease is affected by the new strong disease, in that condition the new strong disease suspend the old weak disease. It cannot remove the old weak disease as they are of dissimilar character. If they are of similar character, in that case the old weak disease can be removed or can be annihilated. But this is of dissimilar character. Due to this reason, in this condition the new strong disease suspend the weak old disease. So this is the second possibility, and due to this reason these are of dissimilar character. The old weak disease remains as it is in a body, and when the course of a new strong disease is over, the there is reoccurrence of a old weak disease. So in that condition the weak old disease cannot cure as these are of dissimilar character, and in this they give different examples regarding it. So in this the two children affected with a kind of epilepsy remained free from epileptic attack after infection with ringworm. So these are the different examples I will say you. But what is the main explanation of this aphorism is that is, if older disease is weaker, attacking new disease is stronger. In this, new disease takes the upper hand and suspend the old weak disease, and it will run its course or been cured, and after completing its regular course or cure, again old weaker disease recurs. That is, there is a reoccurrence of a old weak disease. So this is aphorism number 38 with their example. So what are the different examples regarding the second possibility of these disease condition? That is, first example is that is when two children affected with a kind of epilepsy remained free from epileptic attack after infection with ringworm, but as soon as the eruption on the head was gone, the epilepsy returned. This is told by, that is, uh, Tulpis. So when the two children, that is the two children, are present with an epileptic attack, that is having the epilepsy, but this epileptic attack remains, or they remain free from this epileptic attack when the same two children having infection with ringworm, and when the ringworm completes its course, or the eruptions uh, goes or gone from the head, in that condition, then epilepsy return again. So this is the first example regarding the second possibility of the when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. Then the second example they explain as, that is, each disappeared on the appearance of scurvy, but after the cure of a scurvy it again broke out. So in this, the old weak disease is each, and the strong new disease is scurvy. If that new strong disease affects the each, in that condition, each is suspended for days or for few days, and when scurvy is cured, then each again reappears. So this is the second example regarding the aphorism number 38. Then the next example is, that is, pulmonary tuberculosis remained stationary when the patient was attacked by violent typhus, but went on again after the latter had run its course. That is, in this they give the example of pulmonary tuberculosis that remains stationary, or that gets suspended by violent typhus fever. So in that condition, the typhus fever may be the strong new disease, and that will suspend the pulmonary tuberculosis, and when the course of a typhus fever is complete, in that condition the pulmonary tuberculosis again reappeared. So this is the next example. Then the next example is, if mania occur in a consumptive patient, the tuberculosis with all its symptoms is removed by the former, but if that go off, the phthisis returns immediately and proves fatal. So, in this way, they give the different examples regarding the aphorism number 38. If the old disease is weak and the new disease is strong, in that case, that new strong disease suspend the old weak disease, and after the completion of course of that new strong disease, the old weak disease again reappears. So, in this, they give the different examples regarding the aphorism number 38. So you read the examples from the books. Then we will shift toward the next aphorism, that is aphorism number 39. So all of you understand what is given, or what is the main theme of aphorism number 38. In exam also you have to explain 4 to 5 examples with the explanation of this aphorism. When the question is asking for aphorism number, that is when question asking for the what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. Yes, all of you understand the what is the main theme of aphorism? Okay. Then we see the aphorism number 39, and in this they explain as the routine examples of this, that is, now the adherent of the ordinary school of medicine saw all this for so many centuries. They saw that nature herself cannot cure any disease by the accession of another, be it ever so strong, if the new disease be dissimilar to that already present in the body. What shall we think of them? That they nevertheless went on treating chronic diseases with allopathic remedies, namely with medicines and prescriptions capable of producing God knows what morbid state, almost invariably in invariably, however, one dissimilar to the disease to be cured. Did they not pursue when they employed, as was their custom, and aggressive allopathic treatment in a chronic disease, that thereby they only created an artificial disease dissimilar to the original one, which, as long as it was kept up, merely held in abeyance, merely suppressed, merely suspended the original disease, which later, however, always return and must return. Yes, are you able to listen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is aphorism number 39, much big aphorism, and in this they give some examples also, that is the routine examples. So what is the main theme of this aphorism? That is, it is regarding the routine practice what is going in today's era, that is regarding the allopathic treatment which is prescribed for patient, that is how they will suspend the old disease, that is with the help of a allopathic medicine, and they remain in a body as it is, and after the completion of a course of that medicine, that disease again reappears. So this is regarding the routine examples which is explaining in aphorism number 39. So we will see the explanation of this aphorism number 39, that is the practitioners who are strict with allopathic system of medicine are observing the above fact since last many centuries, that even nature cannot cure old disease by producing another dissimilar disease, be it ever so strong. That is, the practitioners who are strict with allopathic system of medicines are observing the above fact. That is, what is that above fact? That is, since many centuries, even the nature cannot cure the old disease. That is, all of you know that, that is, the nature also cannot cure the old disease with a strong new disease if they are of dissimilar character. Then, after observing the above fact, although allopathic physician tries to treat the chronic disease with medicines and prescription capable of producing unknown disease which are dissimilar to the disease to be cured, then how the allopathic physician that are practicing the allopathy, how they treat the chronic diseases? They treat the chronic diseases with a medicine or medicines and the prescription which are capable of producing the unknown disease. That is, they don't know what disease is formed due to their medicines, that is unknown disease, which are dissimilar one to the disease to be cured, and these are dissimilar to the disease to be cured. So in that case, how these diseases to be cured? That is, when they produce the dissimilar disease by giving this allopathic treatment. Then, yet still today allopathic physicians are not observing to the nature minutely that what they are doing is wrong. So today also the allopathic physicians are not observing the nature minutely, as what they are doing is a wrong, and they are unable to pursue that the disease which they have created to take the care of natural disease is dissimilar one, at which suspending the natural disease for a time, and they don't understand or they do not observe that what they give the medicines, that medicine only suspend that old weak disease, and after the course of that weak that strong new disease of medicines, the old disease again reappear, or they have created to take the care of natural disease is dissimilar one, and which suspending the natural disease for a time. That is, natural disease is suspended for a time, and as soon as the action of medicine gets exhausted, when the action of medicine gets exhausted, in that case again the disease reoccurs in the same form or with increasing suffering. Means, when the action of that medicine is over, when you are taking the medicine, up till now you feel the better, but after the completion of that medicine, the old or the disease reappears, or with a same suffering or with a increasing suffering. So this is the nature also that give the example, but the allopathic physician cannot observe it minutely or cannot understand it properly, and giving the medicine and producing the dissimilar diseases, and how that dissimilar diseases can get cured. This is the question that Hahnemann asked to the allopathic physician. Then he gives some examples, that is the routine examples regarding this condition, as the each exanthema disappears from the skin after use of strong purgatives, but after discontinuing the purgative, the cutaneous eruption break out. That is, in routine example you can see that, that is, there are some skin eruption, or that is exanthema with each present in a patient, and if you prescribe some strong purgatives for that, that purgatives do the action of suppression, or that suppress that exanthema for some days by use of that strong purgatives, but after discontinuing the purgatives, that is, if you do not use that purgatives, the cutaneous eruption breaks out, that is, that skin eruptions against break out. So this is one of the examples regarding the use of that allopathic medicine as a dissimilar medicine. Then the second example they explain as, when the ordinary physician keep up artificial ulcerations of the skin and issues on the exterior of the body with the view of thereby eradicating a chronic disease, they can never attain their object. By so doing, they can never cure them by that means, as such artificial cutaneous ulcers are quite alien and allopathic to the internal affection. But in as much as the irritation produced by the several tissues is at least sometimes a stronger dissimilar disease than indwelling malady, the latter is thereby sometimes silenced and suspended for a week or a two. So in that cases, if there is a condition of ulceration also, that is if you use some external application, that will suppress that condition for few days, but after the discontinuing of this some medicines, in that case you will see there is more irritation or there is more burning in that ulceration, and this is only suspended for a week or 2 weeks. Then the next example they explain as, that is the epilepsy suppressed for many years by means of issues invariably recurred. Confirm your mute. अभी Abhishek Bagul. Then next example is epilepsy suppressed for many years by means of issues invariably recurred and in an aggravated form when they were allowed to heal up. That is if you use some issues or some medicines for epilepsy, that issues means that is using of some medicines. If you use some medicines for epilepsy, that epilepsy can be suppressed for that fixed duration of action of that medicines, and if you stop that medicine, after that the epilepsy again reoccurred. So in that case, these are the different examples regarding how the allopathic medicine suppress the disease condition, that old disease condition for some days, and after the course of that medicine, that old disease again reappear. So these are the routine examples regarding the second possibility of disease condition when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. These are explaining in aphorism number 39. Then the next aphorism is aphorism number 40, and in this aphorism they explain about the complex diseases. The third possibility is that is all the new disease after having long acted on the organism at length joins the old one that is dissimilar to it and forms with it a complex disease, so that each of them occupies a particular locality in the organism, namely the organs peculiarly adapted for it, and as it were only the place specially belonging to it, whilst it leaves the rest of the other disease that is dissimilar to it. Thus, a syphilitic patient may become psoric and vice versa, as two diseases dissimilar to each other, they cannot cure one another. At first, the venereal symptoms are kept in abeyance and suspended when the psoric eruption begins to appear. In course of time, however, as the syphilis is at least as strong as psora, the two join together. That is, each involves those parts of the organism only which are most adapted for it, and the patient is thereby rendered for diseased and more difficult to cure. And in this, they having a footnote for aphorism number 40, they give, from careful experiments and the cures of complex diseases of this kind, I am now firmly convinced that no real amalgamation of the two takes place, but that is such cases the one exists the organism besides the other only, each in the parts that are adapted for it, and their cure will be completely effected by judicious alteration of the best mercurial preparation with the remedies specific for the psora, each given in the most suitable dose and forms. So this is aphorism number 40, and it explained about the third possibility when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body. And what happens when two dissimilar diseases meet together in body? The third possibility is that they form the complex disease. So, or the new disease, after having a long acted on the organism, at length joins the old one that is dissimilar to it and forms the complex disease. So that each of them occupies a particular locality in the organism, namely the organ peculiarly adapted for it. That is, when two diseases now gets affected to a human body, that is, old disease is already present in body and new disease now affect that human being. So in that condition, the new disease, after having a long acted on the organism, that is, if its duration is increased of new disease, as the length joins the old disease, that is, now the length of old disease and the weak disease gets joined, one that is dissimilar to it, but these are of dissimilar character. Now they forms the complex disease in body, that is, they having the same strength. Now they form the complex disease in the body, and in that, so that each of them occupies a particular locality in the organism. That is, two diseases are present. Now these two diseases occupy the particular locality in the organism, namely the organs peculiarly adapted for it. That is, what is the disease condition, and for that disease condition, what organs are adapted for that, they remain in that organ, that is the organism, namely the organs peculiarly adapted for it, whilst it leaves the rest of the other disease that is dissimilar to it, and now they occupy the different places in the body. So in this, they give one example regarding, that is, syphilitic patient may become the psoric, or the vice versa. That is, if patient is already having a psoric disease condition and now he is affected with syphilitic disease condition and having the same power but of dissimilar character. So in that patient, now there is a presence of syphilitic also and the psoric also. So syphilitic patient may become the syphilitic may become the psoric, and the psoric may become the syphilitic. Also, they explain as an example, that is, venereal symptoms are kept suspended when the psoric begins to appear in the course of time. However, they join together. That is, if there is a presence of some venereal symptoms, that is, the symptoms regarding the sexual organs, that is, we call it as a venereal symptoms, that kept suspended when the psoric symptoms appear in the course. That is, venereal symptoms, now it gets a old disease, and new disease, that is the psoric symptoms, affects that human being. So this is the new disease condition, but they are of same strength. So due to the psoric being to be appear in the course of time, however they join together. Now the strength of these two diseases, that is of venereal symptoms and psoric symptoms, gets joined together and form the complex disease in that human body. Then next they explain as, when two dissimilar acute infectious diseases meet on, for example, that is smallpox and measles, the one usually suspend the other, as has been before observed. Yet there have also been severe epidemic of this kind, where in rare cases two dissimilar acute diseases occurred simultaneously in one and the same body, and for a short time combined as it were with each other. That is, when the two dissimilar acute infectious diseases, that is, for example, measles and smallpox, that get affects the one human being at a time, that is, it is very rare condition, but when it appears at a time, they will form the, or they may combine with each other, that is, for a short time combined as it were with each other. As they are the friends of each other, they combine with each other and show the symptoms in that living body. Then nextly they explain as a complex diseases during an epidemic in which smallpox and measles are prevalent at the same time. Among the 300 cases, there was yet one single case where both these dissimilar diseases in one individual. So it is very rare case, that is in among 300 cases they form, that is measles and smallpox in one individual at a time. Then simultaneous occurrence of smallpox and measles was witnessed by Rennie. So that is Rennie was the witness of that, that is smallpox and measles was formed simultaneously in the body. So these are the some of the examples regarding the formation of complex disease. That is when the two diseases, that is the weak disease and the new disease, are of same character, they form the complex disease in a body and they occupy their own place in the body. So this is aphorism number 40. Regarding this, Dr. Kent gives one note, that is in treating these complex diseases, last group of symptoms should be removed first, then go to the next. They must disappear in the reverse order of their coming, as if put on in layer, one piled upon the another. That is, when you are going to treat these complex diseases, in that condition the last the appear first to go. That is, in treating these complex diseases, the last group of symptoms should be removed first, then go to the next. That is, if in a patient smallpox appears first and then appears the measles, and when you give the treatment to this disease condition, in that condition you have to remove first measles and then you have to remove the smallpox. So they must disappear in the reverse order of their coming. How they come, you have to remove them in the reverse order of their coming, as if put on in layers, one piled upon the another. So this is a short note given by Dr. Kent regarding aphorism number 40. Then next aphorism is aphorism number 41. So aphorism number 41 explain about, that is, I think I will explain only the aphorism. You can read aphorism from book later on. So we will complete these two aphorisms. So lastly, aphorism number 41 and 42 explain about, that is the, if natural disease and artificial disease meet together, they form the complex disease. And in this, what happens when these complex diseases form in a body? So it is regarding the, that is, if natural disease and artificial disease uh, meet together in body, they form the complex disease. As that is, meeting of two dissimilar natural diseases together and formation of a complex disease is very rare, but each and every disease, after use of allopathic drugs for a quite long period, there is a formation of complex disease. So when there is a formation of complex disease, it is regarding the natural disease, it is very rare condition. That is, in naturally, when two dissimilar diseases of same strength meet together and they form the complex disease, it is very rare condition. But the common condition is that when natural disease plus artificial disease meet together in body, they form the complex disease, and this is a very common condition. So meeting of two dissimilar natural diseases together and formation of complex disease is very rare, but in each and every disease, after use of allopathic drugs for a quite long period, there is a formation of complex disease. As we are using allopathic drugs for many of the days, in that case they form the complex disease in a body. To the natural disease, instead of cure, there is a addition of an artificial drug disease. So patient gets two instead of one and becomes very difficult to cure. At last the patient becomes a victim of incurable diseases. So lastly, in 41, and 42 they explain as, that is, when we are giving the treatment, that is the allopathic treatment for natural diseases, and by giving the treatment to the natural diseases as allopathic